Hey, what's up there, folks? We are back once again in Ship Explorer with some new content, and this new content was just released earlier this week. So, what is this content? Well, let me show you. Ooh, look at that! The Battleship Bismarck. Oh, so guess what? We're going to be playing and exploring the Bismarck. This is going to be fun. So, alright, so let's get into it, shall we? Now, here we got two of them right here. At sea or final operation. This is where the final day of Bismarck's life before she sank. So, we're going to do at sea first, and then on another episode, we'll do final operation. So, let's get right into it.
Bismarck put to sea, a big ship and a dangerous ship. A ship that could fall on a convoy like a wolf on a flock of sheep. But from the moment that the Bismarck weighed anchor, she was watched, trailed, and shadowed. Shadowed by irritating little specks that wouldn't be shaken off. Little specks that told the Royal Navy where the Bismarck was to be found. Find the enemy, strike the enemy. Bismarck went down. She had not sunk a single ton of merchant shipping.
Alright, there we go with that. Some video footage from World War II. I don't know if you guys heard the audio, but it was kind of hard to hear. Battleship Bismarck and heavy cruiser Prince Eugen northbound towards the Denmark Strait, 1941. Let me get these nice shots of the Battleship Bismarck. Alright. Wow, we are on board the Bismarck. Wow. This ship is massive. So, let's start off right here. Welcome aboard. As you explore the ship and take in her many details, keep an eye out for interactive features. You'll hear factual narrations read by Mike Brady that highlight key elements of the ship, and you'll discover pieces of its history through found photographs placed throughout. We hope you enjoy stepping back in time to experience this truly remarkable vessel. Alright. So, what shall we do first? Let's see. I want to hear the horn. Nice. Alright, I guess we'll kind of go around the ship and then probably just end up right back over here.
These 20mm automatic cannons were for use against aircraft, and rather than being fed data from the rangefinders, they were aimed independently by the operator.
Nice.
This door led to the sickbay.
Okay. Look at this, I kind of forget what you call it. It's kind of like to help keep the water from going back further in giant waves. Water breakers. The bow water breakers, I guess. Wave breakers.
These wire rope reels were stationed around the deck strategically as a kind of multi-purpose tool for rigging canvas awnings when the ship was stopped, to even assisting in the loading of shells.
Okay. We have to keep an eye out also for like photographs and whatnot.
These hatches led to the sleeping quarters of the petty officers.
Nice.
This pair of skylights behind turret Anton gave light and air to the berths for the petty officers below.
Okay.
The massive main 15-inch guns used a combination of cartridge cases and 2 bags of powder to fire their shells. The amount of gas and fumes generated was considerable. It was vented out of the turret through these outlets.
Nice. I don't know if we can get up there, but right here, as you can see, we have our first photograph. Crew apply a layer of paint to Bismarck's hull. Visible is the fake bow wave. Okay, yeah, I was right. Painted on to trick submarines into thinking the ship was going faster than she actually was. Huh.
This is one of Bismarck's 4 main turrets, named from fore to aft: Anton, Bruno, Caesar, and Dora. All up, they weighed 1,060 tons each. Press the F key to see them in action. Just remember to plug your ears.
Yep. Don't worry, I'll show you guys here in a minute. Oh. Okay. So, while I cannot climb the ladder, I could at least jump up a little higher. Ooh, the weather's changing. Ooh, fog.
Bismarck's main turrets featured complex local control systems, including gun sights hidden behind metal ports on the forward aspect to take over in case the main fire control stations were knocked out.
Nice. So what do we have right here? Ooh, oh, look at that. We can enter crew berths. But before we do that, we'll do that shortly. There's a couple other areas I wanted to see first before we do that. Alright, for this photograph, a spectacular frontal view shows Bismarck seemingly being escorted by a large flock of seagulls. Oh yeah. Okay, let's see. I did see the photograph over there. I'll get to that shortly.
Two huge capstans revolved like big drums to wind the ship's anchor chains in or out. They were painted with stripes, red for port and green for starboard, so that the crew could see when they were turning.
Oh, that's interesting information. The battleship thunders down the waves at her launch in February 1939. Clearly visible is the warship's emblem at the prow, thought to have been derived from the Bismarck family coat of arms. Well, we're back to sunny again. Ooh, look at that photograph. That is menacing. Bismarck's bow towers above the camera in dry dock, giving us a rare and exceptional view of her large 4-foot or bulbous bow, which was partly responsible for her great speeds. See that? Look at that. Even ships back then had bulbous bows, or at least what would become the bulbous bow. And that's what modern ships and large yachts have.
Bismarck's forward main anchors both weighed 12.5 tons, and they were stowed on deck to protect them slightly from the worst of the waves that might tear them free.
Cool. Nothing over here. Okay.
A spare bow anchor was kept right at the forecastle, identical in weight to the main 12.5-ton anchors behind it. Being so close to the forepeak, it was likely in heavy seas that one or more anchors could be taken off by big waves, so having spares was always a good idea.
When she was launched, Bismarck's bow was almost perfectly vertical, but experience with other large vessels showed that this caused bad pitching in rough seas and could keep the forecastle deck effectively awash with water. After launch, Bismarck was fitted with the raked Atlantic bow seen here in late 1939. Wow. Look at that. And look at what happens when we look. Look at that. That is nuts. Alright, so you guys want to see something cool, huh? See if I can... Yep. Here we go. Wait for it. I don't know how the audio on that will be in the recording, but when I hear it in my ears, it's just that loud, enormous, thunderous thud, that boom. Okie doke. So, I guess this is the photograph that I had to see. Bismarck in late 1939 as she's being fitted out by the Blohm and Voss shipyard. Her forward turrets are in place, but the bridge and superstructure are still early in their completion. So, okay, I don't know if you guys have actually ever watched the documentary Expedition Bismarck. It's a James Cameron's documentary, and he pretty much does the same thing that he does with Titanic. He invites some World War II veterans from the HMS Hood and the Bismarck, and I think a couple other battleships, and he takes his ROVs and he basically shows the wreck, and all these old World War II survivors that were on these ships got to look at it, and it's amazing their reactions when they see the sunken Bismarck battleship and how it looks. And it's amazingly preserved because it's so deep down. Like, it's even deeper than Titanic. I think it's more than 3 miles down, I think. But anywho, I do remember how when they're looking at like the guns and the turrets, they say how they look so good. And they look like how they're just ready. They're just silently waiting for a battle that will never come. Ooh, look, a rainbow. Cool. And so I just thought I'd throw that in there. So, okay, let's go to enter crew berths. This is the first time I'm going inside. Wow.
Bismarck's officer corps comprised her commander, Lindemann, and executive officer Hans Earls. Then came a litany of important heads of various departments, like the artillery officers, the navigation and first watch officers, the chief engineer, the duty officer, the intelligence officer, chief electrical engineer, administration officer, and the anti-aircraft chief officer.
Okay. So... oh. I hear singing. So I see a photograph, but... oh. Doesn't look like I can press anything. Cool. So this was the crew berths? They were just hammocks? Is that all they were? Was just hammocks? That's interesting. Well, there's another photograph. They got their lockers. Oh, look. Looks to be an officer and his wife. Doesn't look like I can go any further that way. You can't go that way either. I know, there's no collision there. You just go straight through. Alright. Well, I guess that's the... oh. a sailor and his wife. Looks like he just got married in that photo. Okay, so we'll exit here. So let's continue the tour.
German capital warships used brass cartridge cases. Those huge cases would be ejected from the bottom of the turret, and in the middle of a battle, the ship's decks would be strewn with those big brass casings.
Okay. Can I get up here? Oh, I can. A little bit. Heck yeah. Okay.
This door led to the sick bay.
Yeah. Any photographs? Wow. Look at those little torpedoes.
Bismarck could do her own minesweeping thanks to these paravanes. Booms outboard of the hull could be swung out with the paravanes attached, allowing the ship to sweep for mines as she went along.
Interesting. I could go up, but I think maybe I'll wait till I get to the other side. Oh, look at that. We got a photograph. Bismarck. Photo taken between December 10th through the 15th, 1939. So just before Christmas. And that's when she's being built. This photo, marked and identified by Allied intelligence, shows Bismarck in a state of construction in late 1939. In the foreground is a mostly completed secondary turret, while the upper works and superstructure are clearly in the early stages of construction. Yes, indeed.
This door led to a waiting area for the officers' cabins.
Okay. It looks like we can go around this turret. We got ourselves a little lifeboat here with another photograph. This is the last known photograph of Bismarck, taken by the Germans shortly before Prince Eugen peeled off to leave Bismarck on her own. Bismarck's normally proud bows are clearly bearing the brunt of the Atlantic swell here, as hits from Prince of Wales have flooded her forward compartments. Oh yeah, this ship is so menacing.
This door led to the midshipmen's area.
Okay, can't go through there.
This enormous 12-ton crane was built by the German firm DMAG. Interestingly, they had designed and built the huge floating crane that was used to build Olympic and Titanic over at Harland and Wolff in Belfast. Bismarck's cranes were used to load the ship's seaplanes and boats, but they frequently broke down.
That's an interesting Titanic connection with the Bismarck. Okay, we got a corridor over here. It's pretty dark over here. Bismarck seen from Prince Eugen after the action with the British at the Denmark Strait is down visibly by the head. She had only been hit 3 times in the engagement, but one of these had pierced her forecastle deck at the bow, which allowed close to 2,000 tons of water to flood her, resulting in a 9-degree list to port and a 3-degree trim downward. Only 2,000 tons did that, huh? We got a plane over here. Seems like the more I go back here, the less I see in photographs and the info stuff.
This is one of Bismarck's SK C-34 secondary turrets, fielding twin 150mm rifles, which were similar in design to the main guns used on German light cruisers like the Königsberg, with a maximum range of an impressive 23 kilometers or 14 miles.
Nice. And if you can see, it's beginning to snow.
If the fire control station was knocked out and the turret needed to switch to local control, it was fitted with sights behind metal covers so the crew could do their own targeting.
Yep, it's snowing on the Bismarck. So we got like a little staircase up here. And I see a photograph. Aft on the upper deck is where the living and working quarters for the Admiral Luchen's staff were located. Just behind can be seen the looming shape of the turret Caesar. Wow. Oh, it's definitely snowing really good here. Oh, the decks are starting to get covered. The sleek silhouette of the heavy cruiser Prince Eugen, Bismarck's companion for Operation Rain. The ships bear a striking resemblance to one another, and it's easy to see why Hood and Prince of Wales at first mistook the smaller Eugen for the larger German battleship. Okay, what do we got here?
These vents provided critical fresh air to machine spaces like the engine rooms below, but because the ship's low freeboard would allow much water over the stern, they needed to be bulked up in these trunk-like units to prevent water from pouring in.
Looks like we got another crew berthing area over here. Don't worry, I'll go down that shortly. No photographs? I don't see photographs. What do we got here?
This hatch led down to the mess and berthing area for senior petty officers.
The sun's back out again. And look at that. Look at that ship trailing behind us. A rare view of Bismarck's triple propellers. German engineers had worked to balance the weight of a triple shaft arrangement and the turbines and machinery it required against the speed requirements demanded by the Navy and Bismarck's resultant fine hull. In the end, such a triple screw arrangement with twin rudders was found wanting. Okay. Okay, what do we got here? An interesting shot shows the Bismarck astern of Prince Eugen as the two ships rehearse drills for towing and refueling at sea, sometime around April 1941. Interesting. Actually, isn't this the swastika deck? Aren't I supposed to see the swastika symbol here? Maybe they just didn't put it in because it might offend people. Even to this day, that sign still offends people, even though technically it should be here. I mean, I do see some kind of design, but it's not the swastika. Okay. I'm sure they had their reasons.
Bismarck would be expected to spend much of its time in shallow water anchorages like the Norwegian fjords, so she was equipped with a 9-ton anchor at the stern to keep her firmly in place while riding at anchor.
Nice. Okay. A fine stern 3/4 view shows Bismarck's fitting out process. Turret Dora is nearly complete, while Caesar is still clad in scaffolding. The ship's towering single funnel is yet to be installed. See, battleships, their hulls were not... They were big, but they were not super tall, like an ocean liner. They were actually rather short.
This hatch, right at the stern, led down to a tiny compartment which housed the ship's smoke generators. Bismarck could, in theory, disappear into a cloud of her own smoke, but because this was dangerous chlorosulfonic acid smoke, the generators were kept far away from the crew to protect them.
Yeah, you don't want that, because then you'll probably end up killing them. It's an interesting looking wake. What is that, Prince Eugen off to our starboard stern?
The ship was equipped with depth charges. Although these explosives were normally used for hunting submarines, Bismarck could deploy them during battle to confuse the enemy as they observed their own fall of shot.
Did I get this one right here? Yes, I did. Okie doke. Well, before we do, I want to see the stern ones go off. Alright. Well, now, let's enter the... Well, before we do that, I do see a picture here. So let's look at this. Bismarck engages Hood and Prince of Wales with her guns thundering. Behind her, shells from the British ship fall afar of their intended target. Bismarck, which has already been hit by Prince of Wales, is down by the bow. Yeah, these guns are massive. I think Bismarck had the largest guns of any battleship anywhere, I think. Okay, so we got another crew berth here. Again with hammocks.
Bismarck's crew complement usually sat at around 2,065 men, comprising 103 officers and 1,962 other ranks. For the final operation, though, this number ballooned out to 2,200 to account for Admiral Lucian's staff, prize crews for capturing ships, and some war correspondents that were recording the mission.
I hope these photos are not included right here, because I see a bunch of these right here. When I say not included, meaning like they're not included of these ones right here. German Navy uniforms and insignia. A handy chart shows the Kriegsmarine uniforms and insignia. Ships of Bismarck's size needed a huge complement, more than 2,000 officers and men in dazzling spectrum of departments from deck and engineering to gunnery and communications. Interesting. Okay. So there's a lot of photographs to find in this one. Okay. And oh. And then we have one right here as well. Photo album of German sailor from May 1941. Kriegsmarine servicemen were expected to be away from home for many months, so albums like this were cherished by family members back home. The German Navy suffered a shocking casualty rate during the war, especially in the U-boat arm, where some 30,000 out of 40,000 men were killed. Wow. That is nuts. Huh. A classic propaganda shot shows Bismarck shortly after completion, yet still lacking her rangefinders. The Nazis were keen to use Bismarck as a symbol of national pride, since she was the largest warship in the world at the time. That said, her weight of shot was fairly light in comparison to other vessels of the time, with Japanese designs from the First World War capable of firing a greater broadside weight. Still, the new German warship represented a serious threat to Allied convoys, and just one of these modern warships ambushing a convoy of merchant ships could result in the loss of tens of thousands of tons of shipping and cargo. Oh, there's one right here too.
Bismarck's men were distributed between 12 divisions, which included Divisions 1 through 4 for the main and secondary batteries, 5 and 6 for the anti-aircraft guns, Division 7 made up of specialist crews like cooks, stewards and carpenters, Division 8 for artillery, mechanical personnel, Division 9 for signals and radiomen, and Divisions 10 through 12 for the engineers, stokers and technicians.
Oh man, you gotta love Mike Brady's voice. It is so calming, so wonderful to listen to. It's just epic. He really does have a wonderful voice, especially for narration. Oh, whoa, 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 it is dark out. Oh, look at that. We're provided with a lantern. Holy moly, is that dark. Alright, I'm going to switch the time of day. There we go. Alright, let's continue on. It's raining. Yay.
This pair of hatches led down to the mess and berthing area for engineers and sailors.
Okay. Oh, the photographs are getting wet. Adolf Hitler salutes the Battleship Bismarck from a passing vessel sometime around early 1941. Okay. A famous image shows Bismarck firing ferociously at the British on May 24th, 1941. The image looks like it was taken at night, but the image is simply underexposed. The action happened in the middle of an overcast sky. That's actually a pretty cool shot of the Bismarck firing. Okay, can't get through there. So I just go around this way. Wow. I'm not really seeing any more stuff here. The sun's coming out again. Captain Ernest Lindemann with his adjutant von Maulenheim Rechberg close behind inspects his men aboard Bismarck in 1940. Okay. Now we're starting to get towards the bow. No photographs, no other stuff. Alright, so now we are back where we first started. Alright, let's climb up. See what we can find here. Looks like we can continue to climb up too.
This door led to the ship's officers' cabins. These 37mm flak mounts were intended for use against aircraft, but they could also engage light targets at close range as well. In the event, they proved tragically inadequate against aerial targets.
No photographs there. There is one right here, though. Newly launched in February 14th, so what do you know? Valentine's Day, 1939. Bismarck is secured by tugs as she comes to rest in the Elbe River. The big barbettes for turrets, Bruno and Caesar, are effectively the tallest structures on the ship at this stage, but they would soon be dwarfed by the superstructure and towers. Interesting. So these are barbettes right here, the round structure parts. And the turrets are these. They're in the more square parts that sit on top of the round part.
These long tubes are actually cleaning tools for the main gun barrels. Stowed conveniently nearby, the barrels actually only had a life of around 210 rounds.
Another rainbow with a thunderstorm. Bismarck sits poised on the launching cradle, ready to slide into the River Elbe on February 14th, 1939. The event was a huge propaganda coup for the Nazi part, and big newsreel cameras are set up all over the yard to capture the occasion. Seeing. Okay. So I guess now we're going to climb up again. Oh.
Two hatches on the roof of the forward deckhouse led down to an awning storage room below.
Okay. Well, we're pretty high up, but not high enough yet.
A pair of guardhouses were fitted both port and starboard on the bridge for armed guards when the ship was in port.
Okay. Oh, so these are binoculars. Okay. So is this a bridge wing then? Dressed in his summer whites, when Captain Gunther Luchins attends a line crossing ceremony aboard the cruise Karlsruhe in 1934. I butchered that, guaranteed.
Bismarck was fitted with a pair of clever folding bridge wings which could be neatly tucked away when the ship was at sea.
Ah, okay. So yeah, it is a bridge wing, but it's a movable one. Or should I say, it folds in. Wow, this is amazing. Yeah, you can see pretty much the entire length of the ship from here. Okay, what do we got here?
A small night watch shelter was cut into the deckhouse bulkhead to protect crew and officers from the elements. This door led to the ship's officers' cabins, conveniently located near the bridge, so they could be on station in an instant if the need arose.
Oh, wow. Okay. Look at that. I won't climb up there just yet. So that's the problem with battleships. There's many various platforms and levels here that are just everywhere. So I'm kind of all over the place here. A dramatic shot from the action with the British at the Denmark Strait shows HMS Hood erupting in flames as seen from the decks of Prince Eugen.
Aside from the smaller inflatable rafts, Bismarck was also fitted with yellow-painted conventional floats which could be quickly deployed if the ship sank, giving at least some of the ship's massive 2,200-man crew a fighting chance.
Okay, so do I climb down and go to the lower decks, or do I climb up towards the tower? You know what? Let me climb down. I'll come back up here in a little bit. Okay. That ladder kind of leads to nowhere. I don't see anything on here. But if I go right here, another photograph. Adolf Hitler, flanked by strutting senior officials, inspects the battleship after its launch. Germany had lied about Bismarck's size, admitting that it would be within the 30,000-ton displacement limit as dictated by the Washington Treaty, while in reality she was accepted to top 50,000 tons in the event that the treaty fell apart before the ships were even finished after Japan withdrew in 1937. So she was about 4,000 tons heavier than the Olympic class liners. Interesting. Do these fire, I wonder?
The SK C-33 10.5 centimeter flat guns were paired in electrically powered mounts that were supposed to compensate for the pitching and rolling of the ship. But in the event, the mounts weren't properly waterproofed, so they frequently broke down.
Let's see. Ooh, I'm on top of it. Okay, I guess it just...
Turm bereit. Salve bereit. Feuer!
Okay, I guess it's just the main guns that fire. Okay, what do we got here?
This was a small shelter for flak anti-aircraft crews.
No photographs? No, none. Okay. I don't see any photographs. And there's still a whole nother side too that I have to check out.
A pair of hangars was built astride the funnel, which, although small, could snugly fit an Arado AR-196 seaplane each with its wings folded. The aircraft overhead crane here was fixed to the funnel and searchlight platform intended to assist in swinging the Arado seaplanes onto their catapult.
There you go. Down in the engine room of a German warship, the large vessels of Germany's surface fleet employed a mix of diesel and steam turbine propulsion. Diesels of the time struggled to compete with the raw power of steam, however, and Bismarck and most others went to sea with turbines instead. So you gotta check every corner for these photographs. You never know where they're gonna be. Alright. So it looks like I can enter into the hangar.
Bismarck's builders, Blohm and Voss, had been founded way back in 1877, and they were justifiably proud of their ship. This builder's plaque listed the vessel's hull number and the name of the yard that built her.
Nice.
3 hangars were provided for storing Arado AR-196 seaplanes. This one is generally considered to be the main hangar, and this huge door could slide over to allow the folded up plane inside to be wheeled out.
Cool. Well, let's go in and see the hangar. Nice, nice. Ooh. An Allied recognition documentary gives a rough outline of Bismarck's silhouette. Intelligence agencies in Norway and elsewhere worked hard to smuggle as much information to the British as they could, meaning the Allies had some good understanding of what Bismarck looked like and might be capable of.
The AR-196's finest hour probably came in 1940, when the British mine-laying submarine HMS Seal was attacked off Norway by a pair of the float planes. Attacking the surfaced sub alongside a Heinkel bomber, the AR-196s forced the surrender and landed next to it so the captain could swing out to meet them. Shipboard work was taxing on the airframes and the engines. Exposure to salt water could corrode critical components, so keeping the planes in hangars when not in use was paramount. Still, the BMW engines could suffer cylinder cracks if they were suddenly exposed while hot to cold sea spray, and landing on anything more than a light chop could result in a structural failure. The Arado 196 was powered by a 9-cylinder BMW 132 radial engine, giving about 700 to 800 horsepower, the same engine that had powered some variants of the big Focke-Wulf FW200 Condor.
Nice. And looky there. There's a photograph on the ground. The Arado R196 may look ungainly, but this little plane could provide crucial intelligence about the operations of nearby warships outside radar range. Some AR-196s were even equipped with small bombs so they could attack targets of opportunity. Interesting. Interesting. Alright, so that was the hangar. And now here we are back outside. And it's sundown. Ooh.
This C6 periscope allowed the turret's commander to observe the target with more detail and a wider field of view during the heat of battle.
Nice. Aboard Bismarck's sister ship Tripitz, sailors drill with Mauser rifles to greet an official visitor. Okie doke. Yeah, there's a lot to explore here. Bismarck is here joined by Prince Eugen around May 19th or 20th, painted in her fairly minimalist Baltic camouflage scheme. She'd warned since the winter soon the pair would arrive in Norway and prepare for the breakout into the Atlantic. Oh man. There's the stern. No photos over here, huh? Ah, there is one right here. A dramatic moment as 15-inch shells from HMS Hood land ominously close to Prince Eugen early into the action of the Denmark Strait on May 24th, 1941. So would there be another one over here? That would be nice to see one. Nope. All right. Alrighty. There's one right there, but anything right here? No. Okay. After HMS Hood's detonation, the mushroom cloud of which is still visible in the background, Bismarck fires on at HMS Prince of Wales. So I found almost half the photos in this game.
Bismarck relied on forced ventilation to provide adequate air for her living and fighting spaces as well as her machinery rooms. Big air vents like this sucked in huge volumes of fresh air to circulate it throughout the ship.
Yep. Nothing there. Nothing over here that I can see. Well, since this is separate from over there, let me view this area, the upper section. Alright, we'll go up the stairs. I see something there. Bismarck fires on HMS Hood and Prince of Wales. Prince Eugen was in the lead of the formation, meaning the British had at first mistaken her for the larger battleship and focused fire on her instead. Alright, now I've officially found half.
This is the aftmost 3-meter anti-aircraft rangefinder, Flaklight Stand D. In the event, Bismarck's AA suite, like many battleships of the time, was found to be woefully inadequate, leading to a rather famous strike on her rudders from a Swordfish torpedo bomber.
Yeah. Okie doke. No photographs over here. It's another way up. A good view off Bismarck's port bow shows her long, lean silhouette and menacing good looks. Yeah. Okay, so I cannot advance forward from this side, but that's okay. Oh, look at that. After the German invasion of Norway in 1940, posters like this called for Norwegians to enlist in the Kriegsmarine, although without huge success. The poster's text reads, Defense Norway, sign up for it, German Navy, before giving a list of place volunteers could enlist. Ah, great. We're going through a major storm right now. Come on. Let me through. Oh, you can just hear that wind whipping. Alright, well, I guess now we go up. Bridge deck aft. Bismarck's graceful stern enters the water for the first time at launching on Valentine's Day in 1939. A crowd watches ecstatically, and the ship is decorated with bunting to mark the event. More stuff to look at. Bismarck approaches completion at Blom and Voss Hamburg around August 1940, presenting a spectacular starboard profile with gleaming fresh paint. Hereafter, rangefinder isn't yet installed, and a mast-like structure sits there in its place. Oh, storm is moving away.
The ship was equipped with Fumo 27 radar. On the outside here you can see the big mattress antenna. Unfortunately, it was never tested for live firing, and the percussion of Bismarck's own guns knocked her entire radar suite out.
Ooh. Well, what do we have here? A painting by Clausbergen shows Bismarck's guns spewing fire at the British in the Battle of Denmark Strait, while returning British shells straddle her bow. Or straddle, however you say that. Alright, now that I can see a little bit better. Enter fire control station. Okay. Let's take a look. Aft fire control station. Okay. Nice. A dramatic picture shows Bismarck's aft turrets firing at the British during the Battle of the Denmark Strait on May 24th, 1941. Okay. Very small in size, but okay. Alright. Now it looks like we're about at lifeboat height here. Searchlights. Or those signal lights. Come on. The mighty British warship HMS Prince of Wales was about as new as Bismarck was, having only entered service in March 1941. In the Denmark Strait action, she managed to score hits on Bismarck with her main guns and in return received a peppering of hits from Prince Eugen and Bismarck that killed men in the compass platform. Worse still, a hit below the waterline, which had failed to detonate, might have sent her to the bottom. Otherwise, Prince of Wales was forced to disengage and escape after HMS Hood was destroyed. Okay. Oh, there's the bell. Too far away from it.
This is the Flaklight Stand C, a 3-meter anti-aircraft rangefinder. Like the D position further behind it, it's sitting open-topped in a tower, but it was meant to be fully enclosed in a dome like the rangefinders further forward. It just wasn't finished on time. Thanks to the shape of those stations, the crew jokingly referred to them as tilting pots.
Oh, look at this. Climb up. A signalman hails Bismarck in this classic propaganda photo. The battleship is slicing nearly through the water with very little bow wave. Like other warships of her day, she employed a 4-foot, what today is known as a bulbous bow, which reduced resistance as she steamed through the waves. Bismarck was quick for her size, managing speeds in excess of 30 knots, thanks in part to her hydromanically designed hull and lean lines. Oh, I'm pretty high up. Alright, I changed it back into daytime so I could climb up this thing right here. So this way I could see, because I couldn't see before. Ooh. Wow. Look at how high up we are.
The ship's speed and position was important information for members of the crew, like gunners and officers, to quickly ascertain during combat. The mainmast featured a clever speed and rudder position indicator to help quickly communicate that information to anybody who might need to know it in a pinch.
All that smoke from the smokestack is blowing in our face over here. No way to climb this? So we are pretty much at the tallest point of the ship. Well, that's one way to get down. Look at these cool little lifeboats. I don't see any pictures here. Oh. I'm actually in the lifeboat now. Now can I get out? Uh-oh. I think I'm stuck. Oh boy. I am stuck in the lifeboat. So in the process of respawning out of that lifeboat, I had to come back and I ended up missing something here.
This is the big aft reserve fire control station fitted with a 10.5 meter rangefinder, ensuring Bismarck could engage multiple targets at once with deadly efficiency and accuracy.
Want to drop down here. We got the ship's bell. Alright. You find image of Hood with her guns trained to port sometime around 1928. Gives an overall impression of how she would have looked engaging Bismarck. German gunfire managed to detonate Hood's magazines, resulting in a catastrophic explosion that tore the ship apart. Some 1,415 men lost their lives, while only 3 survived. Of those killed, nearly 80 were under the age of 18, and the majority of her crew were under the age of 25. Wow, that's those are some young souls. An Arado R-196, similar to the aircraft carried aboard Bismarck, makes a dramatic swoop over a German destroyer.
A pair of hangars was built astride the funnel, which, although small, could snugly fit an Arado AR-196 seaplane each, with its wings folded.
Yeah. The same day, Bismarck was photographed by British reconnaissance Spitfires from above. Some spectacular shots were taken of her from Prince Eugen. Here at Grimstad Ford, south of Bergen, Norway, Bismarck presents her flank to smaller heavy cruiser. The camouflage pattern would be largely painted over shortly after the photo was taken. Okay. So we can take that up, but I don't want to just yet.
This was a small shelter for flak anti-aircraft crews. Bismarck relied on forced ventilation to provide adequate air for her living and fighting spaces as well as her machinery rooms. Big air vents like this sucked in huge volumes of fresh air to circulate it throughout the ship.
One of the first ships to bear the name Bismarck was the first Bismarck, or Prince Bismarck, of 1900. The protected cruiser served as a squadron flagship in the East Asia Squadron, but sat the First World War as a training vessel before being scrapped in 1919. Wow, so she only lasted like 19 years. It's not a long life for a ship. Oh, okay, I was up over here already. Did I not climb that? Alright, we're gonna climb up the stack. Captain Ernst Lindemann inspects his men aboard Bismarck on August 24th, 1940. The day of the ship's commissioning ceremony. Oh, wow.
This searchlight position could light up the ship's rear quarter, as well as flashing out critical Morse messages to allies during periods of radio silence. These 20mm automatic cannons were for use against aircraft, and rather than being fed data from the rangefinders, they were aimed independently by the operator.
I'm going to go over here. A fine picture of Bismarck recently completed with paint so fresh it reflects the waves below. Here Bismarck is yet to receive her two forward range finders. Wow, yeah, you can definitely see in this photograph the reflection on the lower hull. Okay. Crouch down. Smudges of smoke on the horizon tell a desperate tale. At right can be seen the remnants of smoke from HMS Hood's destruction, while at left HMS Prince of Wales turns to escape. The withering combined gunfire of Bismarck and Prince Eugen. Me climb up. Oh. Oh, wait a minute. No.
Bismarck's steam whistle was similar to those found on ocean liners of the time, not unlike Queen Mary's Typhon with an audible range of 9 miles. Press and hold the H key to blast the whistles, but be warned, it's pretty loud.
Oh, I bet. Yep, that's loud. I love the sound of a ship's horn. You climb up. Oh man. Up and up I go. To the very top. Oh my god. I'm for sure gonna get struck by lightning up here. Jeez. That's amazing. Okay, down we go. And down we go. And crouch. Don't see anything there. All right. Oh, I'm in these lifeboats.
The ship had a number of boats, including this big 9-ton admiral's boat intended specifically for use of the admiral and the fleet staff if the vessel was stationary in a shallow anchorage and they needed to get ashore or over to another vessel. This motor yawl was the smallest of Bismarck's boats, weighing in at just under 4 tons. It was a smaller version of the motor pinnace, ideal for quickly ferrying crew to and from shore. Bismarck mounted a pair of big motor pinnace boats which weighed over 6 tons each.
There's a photograph in here. Captain Otto Ernest Linderman was 47 years old, the son of a doctor who had become drawn to the ocean after hearing stories of his uncle who commanded a cruiser in the early 1910s. He joined the Navy in 1913 and rose through the ranks, serving as a telegraphy officer aboard the big SMS Bayern in 1916. By late 1930s, he was a senior naval advisor, head of the ship construction at the Naval High Command, and one of the Germany's leading shipboard gunner experts. He was thrilled to be chosen for command of Bismarck, even though somewhat remarkably he had never commanded a ship before. Well, that's quite something. Okay. Well, I guess we're done with that part. So I guess now, let's go ahead up the main tower here.
SL8 high-angle rangefinders were used for the 105mm flak guns. They were stabilised and protected by domed housings. Another pair was intended to be installed aft, but delivery was never taken.
Oh.
These 20mm automatic cannons were for use against aircraft, and rather than being fed data from the rangefinders, they were aimed independently by the operator.
Okay.
The forwardmost rangefinder unit was only a 7-metre model, but it was the most heavily protected, in a steel box about 200mm thick, or 7.8 inches at the front.
So we can enter in there. Board Bismarck's sister ship trip its officers salute while a senior official is piped aboard.
The open command bridge here was littered with equipment, including artillery target rangefinders, searchlight directors, and even engine telegraphs, shaft RPM indicators, and a simple push-button helm. This door led to the conning tower, the forwardmost fire command post.
Cool. So before we climb up, let's go back around. Enter the fire control system. Yep, just like the one before, very small. An Allied recognition document shows Bismarck in striking detail with few inaccuracies. Okay. So let's climb up. Nice.
The reinforced command station here was equipped with C-38S target finders, essentially high-powered stabilized binoculars that helped identify targets and communicate the information to the targeting computer below and then on to the fire control stations. The forward armoured command station had walls that were 350mm, 13.7 inches thick. It was equipped with 3 director periscopes so the commander could quickly and accurately gauge the battle's flow without needing to endanger himself.
I don't think I can get up there. Yeah, I don't see anything. Okay. Down. Since I already checked that side, let me check this side, and then we'll head back up. A freshly completed Bismarck in August 1940, the ship is so new, in fact, that her rangefinders and fire control stations have yet to be installed. Nice.
The SL8 high-angle rangefinders were used for the 105mm flak guns. They were stabilised and protected by domed housings. Another pair was intended to be installed aft, but delivery was never taken.
Alright. So let's head up. I think I did that one already.
These 37mm flak mounts were intended for use against aircraft, but they could also engage light targets at close range as well. In the event, they proved tragically inadequate against aerial targets.
We got ourselves a door here. We can't go up. Can't go through it, should I say. Okay, how about the other side here? A famous painting by J.C. Schmitz Westerholt shows HMS Hood going down in sheets of flame and smoke after her detonation. Prince of Wales' crew looked on in horror as Hood's bow rose almost vertically into the air. They retreated from the action shortly afterwards. Wow. Come on. Wow. Burkhard Farrar von Mullenheim Rechberg was Bismarck's 4th gunnery officer, a 31-year-old from Spandau. He was selected by Captain Linderman to become his personal adjutant. I can't even say it. Adjutant? Oh, I'm so bad at pronunciation of certain words.
Quite separate from the captain's bridge below, the admiral's bridge allowed the fleet commander to assess the overall situation and command his captains accordingly. Its position high in the foretop gave exceptional all-around views of the battle and the weather conditions. These 3-meter rangefinders, mounted in small stations near the admiral's bridge, were used to guide artillery during nighttime firing.
Interesting. Okay.
Aside from the steam whistle on the funnel, Bismarck also had this large foghorn which could be used in poor conditions closer to port.
Alright, climb up. Jeez. Bismarck, sometime in August or September 1940, still lacking her aftmost rangefinder. Off to the right is a small flotilla of sailboats, which are absolutely dwarfed by the big German warship. Oh, I'd say so. Oh, look at this. We have another fire control station. German sailors from one of the pocket battleships or Deutschland class cruisers take a moment on deck. Nice. Anything else? Oh, alright.
The foretop command post was heavily reinforced and commanded by the 1st Artillery Officer. Over 100 feet above sea level, it gave unobstructed views out to the horizon.
Yeah, I'd say so. Did I look at this one? On May 21st, 1941, Bismarck was photographed at Grimstad Ford in Norway, where she was preparing her first and final mission. A Spitfire from the 1 PRU unit piloted by Michael Suckling snapped crystal clear images of the massive German ship top right, joined by smaller merchant vessels in the fjord. Cool. Climb up. Alright.
The 10.5 meter rangefinder at the foretop was a huge unit with an impressive 50 times magnification, communicating data down to the computation rooms below for accurate firing solutions.
Well, alright everybody, that completes this tour of the Bismarck. This was very, very fun and very, very interesting. And I know it's a long video. I do apologize for that. But there was just a lot to see and a lot to find. In the next episode, we will be touring around her again, but this time in her as she's in her final battle with the British, and we'll be watching her demise. And I did kind of look into it a little bit, and it's pure chaos. So this was the calm before the storm. But anyway, everybody, I know this is just right after Thanksgiving, so everybody, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed your holidays, and I will see you guys in the next video. Oh, and I will be putting a link in the description for this video game. So, alright, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.